Pakistan to safety. It had been their job to stir up the phony crisis in Afghanistan and then give George W. the fake victory. You see, it was a staged war. And this is one of the other big smoking guns of 9/11 government involvement that we're all supposed to forget about. Oh, the government admits they flew him out to safety, but Fox News said it was an accident. Yes, 8,000 Taliban and Al-Qaeda cream the leaders being flown out to safety. And top generals were told to release Taliban generals. They were told, let them go. And some of the generals got angry and went public. The FBI has gone public, as well as the CIA. They've even leaked the orders, like W199I, where George Bush ordered them to back off Osama bin Laden and his family. In fact, they even fired some agents that refused to follow their orders. There were red flags everywhere. Everyone knew that the attack was coming. That's why so many public officials didn't go to New York. But months before, there was the Bush administration frustrating the investigations, ordering the agents off the cases, ensuring that the attacks would go forward. Then there were the media reports by respected institutions, backed up by hospital officials at the American hospital in Dubai, Pakistan, of Osama bin Laden meeting with the CIA Middle East section chief for 10 days in July of 2001, months before September 11th. The question is, what was the CIA doing meeting with Osama bin Laden? Getting their story straight? Well, look, 2.5 years ago, I said that Bush was in business with the bin Ladens. Now, FBI agents have gone on C-SPAN and said it. Okay? I mean, it was in the Miami newspapers that they were flying the bin Ladens out. And I'd read it on my radio show, and people call it a conspiracy. It was in the Miami newspapers 2 days after 9/11. They got photos of them flying the bin Ladens out of the country when you and I were not allowed to fly. Bush and his family got their first money for Bush's Arbusto oil down in Texas from the bin Laden family. FBI agent Robert Wright at the National Press Club went up there and said, I've been threatened with arrest. If I tell you what I know, here's a letter from the Justice Department. All I can tell you is the Bushes vacation with the bin Ladens. How many of you know that the supposed hijackers, it turned out 7 of them are still alive? That's the BBC. So there we were in New York just wanting to talk to Michael Moore and ask him, why didn't you talk about these really important issues, these central issues? And in between his bodyguards coming over and shoving on us and telling us not to videotape him through the window, we began to realize that Michael Moore really does George Bush a favor. In his film, he acts like Bush is just some idiot who accidentally allowed 9/11 to happen because he was on too many vacations, out fishing too much. Oh, no, that wasn't the reality. The reality is Bush and his corporate interest stood to gain from 9/11. And Michael Moore is covering up those facts.
And you don't want to let him eat, and once he eats, you can take his picture. Do you like your phone ringing when you're eating dinner?
I'm not calling it.
In reality, Mr. Moore had just completed his photo op for just a few minutes marching at the head of the parade with other genuine establishment libs like Jesse Jackson. Then he ducked into the taco bar, had the general public thrown out, and began, well, gobbling. And I wonder what he was thinking while he was eating. Man, are they going to catch on to me? As the hours went by, are they going to find out that I'm really a fake and a corporate shill that flies around in a corporate jet? All those years I chased the corporate bigwigs around and was thrown out of office buildings and stood outside restaurants, and now I've become what I always said I hated. Or maybe I was always what I claimed I hated. Yes, Mr. Moore, we have nothing against you, but you made a film where you claim that you exposed George Bush. You gave him aid and comfort. You covered up the reality of premeditated involvement in 9/11 and played into that popular little folky image of Bush the idiot elf. Bush is a puppet for a hardcore global crime syndicate setting up a world government and turning America into a high-tech police state. But I guess, though, it won't matter to people like you. You'll have a fake war to fight, while all the time you're truly covering up the real political paradigm.
Big paper in all with Norwegian business there. Did he already sneak out?
He's not.
Out that way?
He's gone. How many bodyguards does Michael Moore have?
Pero aquel digo que definitivamente tiran ver allí, ahí.
Hey, Michael, why don't you talk about NORAD standing down? Why don't you talk about NORAD standing down, Michael? Why not the really hardcore 9/11 issues?
Michael Moore and the controlled opposition like him may be afraid to even scratch the surface of 9/11, but we're not. We're going to go to the rock bottom of this horrible event and expose who truly perpetrated it, because the future of America and free humanity hangs in the balance.
My name is Greg Palast. I report for BBC Television. I was a writer for the Guardian newspapers, the main paper of Europe. The way they're covering protests here, let's see, there was a picture in the New York Times of a scantily clad woman who was listed as a young communist poet. Let's see, there was a AIDS protester, who looks scary and spooky and is about to infect the rest of America, shown. But you don't have what we're literally hundreds of thousands of average people just saying, we're fed up and we dissent and we don't like what's going on. Why don't you listen to us? That's what people are saying. Listen to us. We have a very interesting summer camp here in New York. 2,000 people locked up in a condemned building out on the pier. While the police say they've arrested 300, there are 2,000 being detained. What we see in Baghdad becomes in New York this week Baghdad Light. So instead of heavy tortured shackles, you have plastic handcuffs, but it still has the same purpose: keep the population in line. This is not the United States of America that we pledged allegiance to as little kids. We were very proud of the First Amendment, and you could dissent in the USA, and now suddenly dissent is becoming, they're labeling dissent as unpatriotic.
We're in New York City, right here on the Hudson River. And this condemned former bus station where they stored the buses is being used to hold over 2,000 protesters. And they admit that they randomly set up fences and scoop up whole crowds of people and then take them here. And for over 3 days, they've not let people talk to lawyers, call out, talk to their families. Some have been